Again, we're really happy to welcome Jimmy and Louise to our meeting. So Louise, as the current Chiltern Branch chair, is no stranger to this group, and Jimmy as well, is no stranger, but really happy that you're able to come and provide some context and share what's your vision for IOSH this year and beyond. So, I Jimmy, are you okay to take over now?
Yeah, thanks, Melissa.
Excellent.
So, where do we start? Well, I thought that we might. Surely there'll be questions coming up later on, and I'm hoping that either Melissa or Louise will sort of push those questions out, or whoever. But in terms of me, Jimmy Quinn, there's probably a lot of you know me from obviously being the new president, and what an accolade to do and to be part of, but also to be the ambassadorial head of over 48,000 members in over 135 countries globally. It's an amazing thing to be part of. And when I say thing, I mean, it is a thing, isn't it? It's a massive thing. I don't think there's any words that can describe how big this thing is, and how big we could be once we come out of this pandemic, but also how this pandemic, on a positive sense, has allowed us to reach so many more different people. For those of you who don't know anything that much about me, and I would probably think a lot of you do, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. Louise converted me to Twitter 3 years ago, so I'm on there as much as I can, and I'm on as many platforms as I can, from podcasts to webinars, and to trying to reach out to as many branches as possible. I think one of the biggest things that I'd like to say is just tell you a little bit about myself, i.e. James Quinn, Jimmy Quinn, as you all know. I am a veteran. I did 24 years. I'm also, in my own world, the health and safety world, a senior manager with Multiplex. And also, as part of that, I look after 3 massive sites in London at the moment. That move for me is going to change shortly, where I'll be given more of a roving role, where I'll be able to still support the business, but also to give as much time as I can to IOSH. So what am I about? Well, not surprisingly, I'm about veterans. I'm about mental health. Having been a veteran and having struggled through mental health myself, having been actually sectioned at one stage for a couple of weeks whilst in the army, I know how both feel. I think after 24 years in the army and going through these parts and talking about them very openly, I think that puts me in a good place to actually request from governments and IOSH that I want, there's not often an I in team, but I want to have the veterans focus group, which we've got, led by an amazing chap called Matt Jackson, and vice chaired by another outstanding council member, Simon Donnelly. And then we have the mental health focus group, which is led by another outstanding council member. They're all outstanding council members, but in particularly Keith Hall, and ably supported by an amazing vice chair, Joe Price. And those committee members within that are council members as well, and we'll be looking to involve other members and other third parties to those conversations, with the first report coming to me in April. And I sit on both of those committees as and when as an observer as well. I don't get involved. So that's me. I am membership through and through, very much like Louise and any other volunteer who wants to volunteer. It's just me. There's no scripts. There's no formality. I will call everybody mate. That's something I can't stop after my years in the army. Sometimes I slip and I say to Louise, "How you doing, mate?" And she scolds me and says, "Yeah, okay." But that's me. There's nothing else there. I'm not clever enough. So I'm your president. I'm at the work front every day, 4 days a week. I'm doing it. I'm seeing it. And all I want to do is to spend a year progressing this amazing institution forward, so that my fantastic friend and colleague, Louise, can move through. And just before I move on and just hand over to Louise a second, we're doing a 75-25 split, which has never really happened in the IOSH presidency before, which means that my year is about Louise's year, and Louise's year is about my year. And that's the thing that we want to do going forward, is to try and continue that, to get away from this president's part where it's my year, 100% my year, and I do it my way. It doesn't work. How can we say words like collaborate, influence, enhance if we're not even doing it with each other? So Louise will probably talk about that and going forward in the year when Louise is doing all the bits and pieces that Louise will do, but that's how we're going to work it. And I'm open to any questions, anything you want to know, what's and all, after Louise has spoken. Thank you all. Thank you for the invitation, Chiltern Branch. And, and I am a Chiltern Branch as well, to be fair.
I managed to persuade him to join Chiltern. Yeah, no, hi guys. I mean, I know that you all know me as chair, and Melissa, you've done a fantastic job. When I became president-elect, it was kind of all hands to the deck with the Chiltern Branch Committee, and you know, you've taken the helm, Melissa, with Luke and the rest of the team, and you're doing a better job than I was, so thank you for that. Yeah, Jimmy and I are working incredibly closely together. You know, we get involved with an awful lot that kind of goes on behind the scenes, doesn't it, Jimmy? And we're very much a tag team, so you know, there are always going to be occasions where one of us can't be somewhere, and you know, my role as president-elect is very much supporting Jimmy, learning about what being the president of IOSH is all about, because there is an awful lot that goes on behind the scenes, and you know, supporting Jimmy in any way that he wants. But as he's kind of described, we don't want it. In the past, it's been a very, you know, full stop, right, what's going to happen? We've got a new president, let's move forward. So it is very much that we're kind of merging our themes into one. I think mental health and well-being is a high core priority for businesses across the UK. So I can't see that will change. You know, that's not going to be something that comes to a grinding halt in my year, but I'm probably going to start to look at inclusion much more, and you know, we're going to have a new strategy in IOSH which will come through next year in my year, so that's going to be a core piece for me. Human capital is something that I'm going to be looking at, but again, that is all geared around the same kind of themes, and you know, the work that Jimmy's doing with veterans is not just veterans, is it, Jimmy? It's people that are coming into health and safety as a second career.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's about, you know, what a lot of people don't know is when you become a veteran, when you're leaving the armed forces, and I know you and I have spoken about, Louise, is that you have a thing called graduated leave entitlement, and you can spend all your time doing a course where you sit in a classroom for 6 weeks, use all your time up, leave, and have nothing. So what we're trying to do is to say, right, okay, as you're a veteran, let's reach out. We're going to create a veterans group on LinkedIn, an official one, that's coming very soon. So all the veterans can go into that. And then we're going to progress that globally as well. And we're going to use that as a start point so we can get everybody into it, because IOSH doesn't hold those details on how many veterans from different countries. We'll do that, and then we'll do globally. We'll reach out to the Commonwealth, and then we have a start point, and then we can start engaging with things like the Country of Transition Partnership, and we can start allowing, maybe giving networks where people can come and work for one of your companies for a couple of weeks and have that time off, which is going to give them more benefit 2 years out. It's exactly what I did before I met my fantastic friend Natasha Graham. I've just noticed there. It's also in the mental health focus group. And you're right, Louise. Thank you. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
So you know, and we are a global institution, and I think if this time has taught us anything, it's, you know, in order for us to, you know, we've all been as working professionals under so much pressure to support the businesses that we're working in over this time, and I remember back to sort of almost a year ago, crikey, sort of March, April, we had that first branch meeting, and we automatically reached out to the Singapore branch, didn't we? And remember, we've had branch meetings with like across 17 time zones because we can. And I think if this time has taught us anything, it's how much we can rely on each other globally. So you know, we should find strength in that. And I think, Jimmy, your sort of camaraderie with which comes from your army background is probably coming through as well, isn't it?
It is. I mean,
which rank am I again? I can't remember.
I think we need to put you in probably. Well, if I'm the regimental sergeant major, then you'd be sergeant major, and if I was the lieutenant colonel, you'd be a major.
Yeah, so we have these conversations.
So I mean, in terms of that, yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky. I can't believe that the post I put on just after Christmas, you know, for the bet, I just thought I'll put it on and see what happens, because Richard Orton, see, I've taken a lot from Louise. If somebody says to me, let's think about it, then that says to me, yes. So when Richard Orton says, let's think about it, that said to me, yes. So I put a post on LinkedIn, and I think some of you may have seen it, some of you have not. Yeah, you're giggling there, Alan. Lovely to see you as well. As you know, 56,000 hits on views, you know, over 700 comments, and a lot of those comments from IOSH members as well, not just veterans, which was fantastic. And so that's the sort of thing that we're going to do, just to reach out as well. That's going to grow and grow and grow. And let's be honest with each other here. You know, IOSH, and this is the thing we need to sort out, and I'm probably being controversial. So Brent will probably send me a message saying, you can't say that, Jimmy. Sometimes we need to steer right back into the membership. It's got to be about members. And by God, IOSH haven't got a clue what's going to hit them in terms of, you know, when this gruesome twosome are together and we're you know, I mean, we're the trustees.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
It is part of our roles mean that we're actually sit on the board, so that, you know, that piece of what we can do is we're taking, you know, the heart of the members to right into the heart of the organisation, and that's the roles, you know, that we have.
And Louise as well, isn't it? Never before have two presidents, president-elect and president, sat in a BOT meeting for years. Doesn't happen. And sometimes the president doesn't even go to the BOT because you're there as an invited guest. But you know, we go, both of us, and we've been to our second one now, and we talk about it, and we talk about what we're going to do. And if I miss something, because sometimes other people hear things that you don't really want to, not that you don't want to hear, but you can't hear because you don't know you need to hear it. But there's other people that do, and Louise hears the stuff that I'm supposed to hear, but I don't hear. And then I'm the sort of at the coalface, so to speak. So I enjoy it. A lot of presidents might not enjoy it, but I do. I enjoy that bouncing off each other between me and Louise. And I don't think I'd be able to do this here without knowing that Louise was coming through on the back of that.
But I mean, I was saying to Melissa earlier, I don't think we've been in a formal Q&A together yet, Jimmy. So we want people to ask us questions.
Yeah, just going to say that. So if people have questions, you know, come off of mute and, you know, ask your questions. I have one, but I wouldn't want to go first. So
can I have David Thomas? David has just posted a chat. David, I think you should come on and just say what it is you need to say, mate, because we're on the same page, mate.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks all. Yes, I think I think it's can the IOSH on the profession, and I've gone further, and I'll say what I've said to people like Louise privately. From the work you've put in, I mean, your speech to Networks Volunteers Conference, your speech at the AGM, and your comment now about how people in our profession keep things going in business, how we help out when things go wrong. Our skill set is broader than just health and safety. So I think it's getting people to board level, but also, and I hate to, and it's not popular to say it, IOSH is a great brand name, but IOSH on the tin does not reflect the jobs and the careers people are wanting to do. And employers won't give you a foot in the room if they think IOSH is a silo profession. So we have this challenge, and the recent survey the EWMG have done has said that areas of risk management, well-being and business continuity are all key things that people do. But the Business Continuity Institute believe they are the experts in that. So we have got some challenges, competitors in competition, but we have to consider what is our brand, how do we want to pursue it, and how can that brand be used as a tool? If people want to develop their careers, people think they've done this, they've done that, they can do this, they can do it onto a project team, create a project, understanding risk and get to board level, if they so want to. It's not about forcing it, but I think it's the challenge, and I think it'll get some very difficult people. People will think traditionalists, well, you can't change what we've got. I mean,
David, I don't mean to cut you. I mean, surely I'm one of those. I mean, I'm not blowing on trumpet, but surely I'm one of those that shows that you don't have to have had a world in health and safety. You know, having come from a background of risk, which the Army is, of 24 years, and then learning all those skills. I've just seen Michelle Stornley there as well. I thought I connected with you, Michelle, but I just checked. I haven't after having a good chat at your branch the other day. So I'm going to just press the button now. Just connecting now, Michelle. Branch chair of Liverpool branch. Yeah, David. So I think that point for me is that we all have different skills, mate, and I think those skills it doesn't have to absolutely be health and safety led all the time. We can go in and out of other skills that matter to IOSH, and I think sometimes we just sit in that health and safety world. I mean, I could tell you privately, as long as you didn't tell anyone else, that the president of IOSH said this, that I'm not a big fan of the words health and safety. I'm not. I never have been since I became a health and safety practitioner. You know, when you go onto site, especially where I am, someone from Macedonia or Lithuania doesn't really care about the words health and safety. When you talk about respect, honesty, loyalty, trust, ownership, those words seem to generate more discussion than anything else. And that's my own personal view. We can't have the institution of respect, loyalty, honesty. No, but when I look at those first two words, they generate other words for me. And that's my own personal view. That's not the personal view of anyone else. And that would be an interesting view of anybody else, how they see the words health and safety. Just noticed you've done a question there,
I think Tim had a question.
All right, Tim. Go on, Tim.
Sorry, yeah, I was multitasking now. I was trying to basically say that, firstly, that the recording will be on YouTube. Tony will post it on our YouTube channel. So anyone who's having trouble hearing or seeing or whatever will be able to see most of what went on today.
What do you do, Tim? What do you do for the branch?
What I do for a job? Nothing at the moment.
For the branch.
Oh, for the branch, okay. I work with Tony and the communications team. I update the microsite, and I've just started a new venture to open a mentor program in branch to coincide with the IOSH mentor program and with the IPD community page we have on LinkedIn, just to provide a sort of informal help to anyone that wants to progress through the grades in IOSH. But mainly I deal with the web team at IOSH for my sins and update the web page.
What a good job you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you for being so candid about your experiences as well. I think more people should be able to talk about mental health experiences that they've had. It's no different really than breaking your arm or dislocating your shoulder. Absolutely. Really, you shouldn't have a stigma associated with the experience that you've been through for whatever reason. So Tim, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, Tim, David Thomas brought me into a conversation just before Christmas about, and I'm smiling, but I should be smiling, is about use of people sleeping in biffa bins. And I asked IOSH first if I could mention what happened to me, because as a young, stupid 20-year-old soldier, I ran out of money when I was in central London, and it was a long walk back to Hounslow, and I'd have got into lots of trouble if I tried to jump a taxi and been caught. So I went to sleep as a 20-year-old in a biffa bin full of cardboard, and so I don't mind sharing those stories. And as stupid as it was as a stupid young lad, because I was used to lying out in the outside anyway as being an infantry soldier, but I knew how to take care of myself. But I shared that story as well. So Tim, you're absolutely right. No reason why. I don't care if I'm the president of IOSH. Those stories need to be heard and told, mate. So thank you for that.
No worries, no worries. So my question was, I appreciate the ability to get members' views directly to the Board of Trustees or wherever it needs to go, because I think that conduit needs to be established or broadened, shall we say. But my question is, how through the presidential team will members be able to voice what concerns them, what they want to happen, what they see as the future what, just by dropping you a line or through committee meetings, or what
Yeah,
would be the vehicle for that?
Absolutely. I'm going to let Louise. I'm going to let Louise take this one. But I'm going to put my email address straight away in the chat box. But I'll let Louise take this one, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you know, it depends on what type of question or query it is, but there is a process that we should use. So, I mean, if it's a branch type issue, you're going to go through the relationships manager, which is Brenton for the branch. If you have got a general query or question, or you're not sure, then go through Brenton first. Brenton can redirect that, but there is actually going to be a new process that's going to be rolled out shortly, so that those questions and queries can go through to IOSH. And generally, the place to start is membership@iosh.com. And so there is an escalation process through that. I mean, what I would say is if things don't get responded to, then continue to push it up that escalation process. But I mean, we're always, Jimmy and I are always going to be, we listen, you know, and we're accessible. So we're always, you know, ultimately going to pick up some of those things, and they may well come through council as well. So councillors have got a route through governance.
How many council members we got on this call? Is it just only Natasha that's the council member? Yeah, okay, Natasha. No, you're right, Louise, and Tim, to come back to that as well, that I will always be available, and although what I don't want to see is, I don't want to see people contacting governance as members. I'd like you to email me and say, Jimmy, I've tried and I'm not getting anywhere. So case in point being Merseyside branch, they had some issues. Joe Price came to me. I pushed all the way up. Now, is it the response we wanted from IOSH, the head of that part? No, not particularly, but we've now got a foothold. So we'll continue to bang that drum, and we'll continue to step on some toes and just make sure that we're heard. And myself and Louise, I'm not scared to have those challenging conversations, and I'll take those questions, which I did do in the last BOT. I took those questions from council to the BOT, and I'm afraid that if someone doesn't answer my message as the president of IOSH and as the chair of council, then they're getting thrown underneath the bus. Not something I like to do, but I will throw them under the bus at BOT, not a problem, because I am the president of IOSH, the membership, not the commercial arm, nothing else. I am here for you. And if that upsets people, then what can I do about it?
The other thing that I would say about this is that Jimmy and I have, for the whole, you know, I mean, we've been vice presidents before this. We've been on the presidential team for a long time, and we've both worked hard in our roles, and we know the temperature of what's going on. And I think this is actually where we work quite well with each other, because if there's an issue, we might resolve an issue in a different way. I think you'd agree, Jimmy, but actually we complement each other in terms of the way that we deal with it.
100%.
We're not the same.
100%, because, you know, and it is funny, isn't it? You know, you're every day's a learning day. I'm 52. Yeah, I know. Getting old. But there's never a day goes by where I don't learn something. And, you know, there is strengths and weaknesses. And when I first became a member of council and I looked around me, I thought, golly, so many people here. But then you think about what those people do and what they have done and what I wanted to do, to have this opportunity now for the next year, to work with Louise, to bounce off each other, to learn every day is fantastic. And I do get a little bit emotional. I do get a little bit enthusiastic. My head does go into the screen a little bit too much at times. I use my hands a lot, but that's just me. And that's what I want people to realise. I am just me. I might be the president of IOSH, but I can take a phone call. I can take an email, and I'll answer every phone call. I'll answer every email. Not a problem. And I think people need to know how accessible this membership can be if they want to be through this presidential team.
Thanks, Jimmy and Louise, for that. I don't know if you had a hard stop at 2. We had a couple more questions. So Michelle and Anne. So you're good. Thanks. Great. Michelle, do you want to come off mute?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I found this really nice, like welcoming environment, and it's weird to say that now. We've all got used to it now in the virtual world. So I'm the Merseyside chair. We've got about 1,100 members. So I joined today really because I thought I'm going to get some tips, because I felt like, I'll put it out there, I felt like we were running through the same sort of course of service or order of service all the time. And I thought, I just want to see what other people are doing. And I've wrote some tips down, so hopefully I can share it. So my question really is, we get often asked is, it's been quite strong from IOSH to say that we're going to keep virtual and it's safest. But we do get a lot of inquiries as to when we're going to be able to meet again. So just, you know, any of you, Jimmy or Louise, just is there an appetite for us to meet again face to face? Obviously, with the pandemic, we've got to be careful and not rush into it. But there is, you know, a certain detachment that I'm getting from branch membership that they do want to, you know, meet again in some way.
Go on, Louise.
I knew he was going to ask me to take that.
Well, the reason why I did is because you're at the branch as well, so it'd be good.
Yeah,
so,
no, it's a really good question, and this is something that it isn't just being discussed here, it's being discussed in council. And it was also I don't know if you were able to go to Networks conference, which was all virtual, but it was something that was kind of muted there. I think that this platform has been enormously successful. So I mean, in terms of, you know, the Chiltern branch, I feel like we've kind of lost some people that we used to see face to face, but we've gained an awful lot of people, and we've definitely got that real global feel about it. So the kind of sessions that we're putting on have been absolutely fantastic. And if you look at the statistics, there's more people engaging with branch and group sessions than ever before. So I don't think that this format is ever going to go away, but I think that where we're going to is going to be a blended approach. And I can see much more organisation coming down the road in terms of how we go about that. You know, we still need to see each other. I mean, for me, you know, this networking that we have is absolutely critical, because an awful lot of us have got jobs that are very isolated, and that's the support that we get. So I think that we're, you know, we will eventually see each other, and there will be physical meetings when the time is right. And I see a blended approach.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a hybrid type approach, Michelle. I really do. And the conversations that we're having at the moment is more about the travel ban that IOSH have put in terms of travelling globally as well. So that's the first one to sort of get out of the way. And I think that travel ban is going sort of right into 2022. I think I need to double check my figures on that one. But you know, the injection, the vaccinations are coming. You know, I don't think we're going to come out of lockdown myself the first week in February. I think, you know, when I keep using words like spring, you know, it's telling me Easter. So I don't know how that's going to work in the bigger picture. But, you know, everybody's getting back. My friend phoned the other day and said nearly 2 million have been vaccinated in the UAE with a population of 10 million. So that's going to my son's in Saudi Arabia. The vaccinations are coming over there as well, thousands a week. So that's going to obviously come to the UK, Michelle, and nobody wants to see people more than me. You know, I'm lucky. I see up to 800 people a day on my construction sites. So that part of it's good for me. But we've got to have that hybrid will happen. And I think don't think it's going to go away, because IOSH maybe see that as something that can assist them in their maybe commercial world. I don't know. But for us, yeah, it needs to happen. And I think when we go to the next BOT, Louise, I think it's something that maybe you and I put in the agenda to ask that question, because we're allowed to ask questions, Michelle. So we can ask that question: when do we see face-to-face meetings at branch level? Because if I can hold meetings on a site and have people socially distancing on a site and have 20, 30 people, then I'm sure that, you know, the first 20 or 30 people you could have at branches socially distancing as well. We did it properly. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But I think if we can create those ideas, where did ideas come from? Come from us. You know, we tell IOSH what we want. So we create the ideas and say to them, this is what we want. You've got all the best consultants and professionals in the world here. So again, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what thoughts you have, Michelle.
So much. I'll feed that back to the branch. I think sometimes, obviously we got to bear in mind the pandemic, but you feel like you're on mute because you just don't know the answer. But at least you can say, obviously, if the chat's going on from, you know, head office and things, and we can feed back and say it is on the table and it's being discussed, it reassures people are being listened to. So thank you for that.
Absolutely is being talked about. I think everybody's just is taking one step at a time.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle, for joining us. I deeply believe in, you know, collaboration and learning from others. So I've gone to other branch meetings virtually, which is one of the things I do like about the virtual, is that you can attend all these others. And I'm new to IOSH in the last couple of years, and I've just loved it personally. But there is that face-to-face piece that's important as well. So I do think that hybrid will be a great opportunity going forward. I know Alan has a question, but can I ask Jimmy a question, and then I'll go back to Alan. One of the things we've been having conversations as we think about our topics for this year, and one of the things we've been hearing a lot, which is good, is that, you know, the COVID has allowed the IOSH professional to have a seat on the board, or, you know, at the leadership table, etc. I have my views on why we had to wait for a pandemic, but how, or I guess, what would IOSH be doing to help ensure that we don't go back? Because that's one of my concerns about, once the pandemic's finished, we go back where IOSH professionals don't have a seat at the table. So I guess, I know there's things for us as professionals we need to do, but, you know, as IOSH as an institution, what's the conversation happening in that space around us not going back?
I think personally from myself that this pandemic has done us the world of good as IOSH professionals, and we see all the negatives and positives from it. Of course, there's tragedy out there, of course, but we've stepped up in so many ways. And I think I mentioned this a few times, Melissa, in the past, that on the day that the government called it, on the 24th of March, I never stopped. So on the Monday morning, I was back in again, and we were working out ways to get people back to work during the pandemic. And, you know, we're now sitting at management arrangements, COVID management arrangements revision 7, and our COVID risk assessment revision 6. And every time we get new guidance, we revise it. So I don't think this is going anywhere. I think we're going to continue to revise. I'm not saying we're going to see, as all the Instagram posts are saying, we're going to see. I actually watched a film the other day there. I was sort of lying on my sofa and I was a bit bored because I'm doing dry January. We'll dry for the next 100 days, I think. And I was sitting there chomping on my biscuits and crisps and everything else I was doing apart from drinking. And I watched this film which was about COVID, and it was filmed in a COVID type environment. It was very interesting what had happened. And they were now sitting at lockdown 175, something like that. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but I think this is going to be with us for years to come. And I think, you know, the inroads at the health and safety profession, I think we sell ourselves. I don't particularly think we need IOSH to tell us, you know, how and where we're going to go. I think we're going to do that as professionals, and IOSH are going to feed off that. Like I keep saying to everybody that listens to me, if I don't know the answer to a question, I know over 48,000 other people that do. And those 48,000 other people should be used to create what we're going to be doing forward and going forward in the future. And that's only my thoughts on it. Louise?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree. I mean, Melissa, I think some of you guys know what some of my answers to this is, and we are the difference. So we need to see IOSH as enabling us to do what we need to do. So it's not about what IOSH can do, it's what can I do to make that difference. And IOSH is there as an enabler. So there's a couple of things. The first thing is that we're going to have the new blueprint is going to come through soon. We've got all of those competency frameworks. So it's looking at what makes an effective IOSH professional. So IOSH are creating those tools, but they're not going to do it for us. It's down to us to do it ourselves. And the second piece that I'd also talk about is the focus on human capital. So, which is kind of a bit of a modern thing to start talking about, but you're going to see more of this come through. And the human capital piece is looking at, how does big business finance itself, and where does health and safety and human capital come into that? And if we can grasp and understand that piece, it means that we can communicate more effectively with operational directors within business, and they start to see the benefits that have come out of what we've gone through. And I think that piece will continue. But my big thing will always be, it's not what can IOSH do, it's what can I be doing as a member, because we need to be we need to, you know me, I'm all about action. I don't wait for somebody to tell me that I can do something always, which sometimes gets me into trouble. But it's, it's what can we do?
Great question.
Thanks so much. Alan?
Okay, it's really following on from Michelle's point as well, I suppose. But firstly, I think we've got to congratulate IOSH on the view that it took right at the outset of the pandemic and said no meetings. Like HSE, who said nobody would go in the office till next March. Despite the government and 99.9% recurring of the population who felt, oh, this will be over in a few months. And being able to see through that, but you would expect that from an organisation with 48,000 risk managers. Leaving that aside, I think the way that we've worked, looking back and looking forward, it's created a problem as well as solving a problem. Expanding our borders, internationally in our case is great. Sitting on all these events, like I said in my slides earlier, I don't know how soon you joined, Jimmy, but one of the challenges we face is time, inevitably, as individuals on committees. And it's frustrating. Sometimes you come up, oh, this is a great subject. You spend time finding a speaker, only to find out, oh, 2 weeks ago, somebody else ran exactly the same topic, or they're going to do it in 2 weeks. So my question was about how can we have an internal system to try and flag up that and the benefits of collaboration. And I won't blow my own trumpet, but you might have heard at previous network conferences, we have won awards, albeit not Chiltern. Apologies there, Louise. We did our best and Chiltern deserved it. But no, I think it's really to save time, but equally, I can argue against that myself, and I've put in the chat, there's benefits in having different presentations, different presenters. You always get a different angle and always learn something new, and it opens up that debate. So it's a cleft stick, really. I'm not looking for harmonisation of one speaker to present on a topic, and that's the way it needs to be. We need that interaction. We need to hear different views, but it's about anticipation and saving people's time. Brenton's flagged up that those discussions have started, so
Brilliant.
I hear that.
Brilliant, Alan, and great to hear from you as ever. I haven't been on Twitter for a while, so apologies if I haven't been following any of your tweets. Folks, unfortunately, my boss, my presidential boss, is there calling me. That's Sunita Patel, for those of you that don't know Sunita. And I have a scheduled 30-minute meeting with her every week. I'd just like to say thank you very much to you all. I'm going to just go and I'm going to leave you all to continue. It's lovely seeing great friends here as well, and possibly other people who want to be friends in the future. Great to see my great friend Natasha Graham. We go back over a decade now. And Louise and those of you that are here, Brent and David Thomas and yourself, Alan, and those of you that I don't know that well, thank you. And great to see a branch chair coming in to another branch as well and offering some insight. It's wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you again for the invite. Have a great day. I'll speak to you later.
I'm not going to get anybody.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Take care.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
so much, Jimmy.
Take care.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks.